My name is June2020. Title of our presentation, Wavelet Decomposition for Generalized Haar spaces. Authors June2020, Tatiana Safonova, and Mikhail Terehov. Abstract. The paper is devoted to the numerical information flows and piecewise constant splines connected with them. Consider spaces of the splines and their wavelet decompositions, approximation relations for such splines turn into the decomposition of the unit. In the case of a uniform grid, the coordinate splines of this type are often called the Haar functions. The numerical flows are associated with irregular spline grids. Spaces of piecewise constant splines associated with an irregular grid are called spaces of the Haar type. The paper discusses the calibration relations, embedding of the Haar type spaces, their wavelet decompositions, and the structure of the decomposition reconstruction algorithms. The cases of the finite and the infinite flows have considered here. The model example has done. 1. Introduction. For a long time, there was a need to use an irregular grid for the wavelet decomposition. The flow of the initial data is often associated with an irregular initial grid, either with inconsistent intervals of measurement for any physical characteristic obtained by an analog device. It must be taken into account that the initial flow can have transitions from fast to slow changes and vice versa. See first and 30 seconds. As it is known that as a result of the wavelet decomposition of the initial flow is two flows, one of them carries the main information, the so-called the main flow, and the second contains clarifying information, the wavelet flow. The main flow is used first. This flow must satisfy conflicting requirements. On the one hand, it should have a small volume. On the other hand, it must qualitatively display the content of the initial flow. It is most convenient to associate the main flow with the grid obtained by the enlargement of the initial grid. Haar function 1 and Haar wavelets are attracting constant interest. Within the framework of the classical approach, the work 7 introduced irregular grids for Haar wavelets. The aforementioned work considered an irregular initial grid with the quantity of nodes m is equal to in degree s. The enlarged grid obtained by deleting nodes with odd numbers. The quantity of nodes of the enlarged grid was k is equal to in the degree s minus 1. The purpose of this paper is to consider arbitrary irregular grids for Haar type wavelets. The proposed work was performed in the framework of the non-classical theory of wavelets, see 14, 25, 31 to 33. Here the initial grid is irregular, the quantity of its nodes is arbitrary, and the main grid can be any subset of the initial grid. The enlargement of the grid is carried out gradually by removing one node after another. This can be useful when implementing an adaptive algorithm for processing the initial flow coming in real time. Two, coordinate splines of the zero order. Now I want to say that is this presentation there are about 3,000 slides in which the construction of the spline wavelet decomposition for Haar spaces is described in great detail. Since the listeners and the audience have the opportunity to stop the presentation anywhere and look at one or another slide in detail. In the further presentation, I will take this opportunity into account. I will be giving very brief comments on the following slides, and those slides that serve as the natural link connecting the individual parts of the presentation will even be left without comment at all. Slide 5. On the fifth slide, coordinate splines of zero order omega j are introduced. There are piecewise constant function equal to unity only on the interval xj plus 1, and the rest are equal to 0. In fact, these are Haar functions. On the sixth slide, the linear space S V0 of Xi is introduced as a linear span of the function omega j just introduced. On the seventh and eighth slides, we see the enlargement of the original grid, YT-C, and similar constructions of the enlarged grid. The zero-order spline space that appears here is contained in the previously constructed space S0 subset Y tilde S0 C theorem first. The ninth and 10th slides contain theorem 2, which is devoted to the construction of biorthogonal system for coordinate splines obtained earlier on the original and enlarged grids, respectively. The 11th and 12th slides demonstrate the construction of the projection operator of the ambient space S0 onto the space y tilde S0 embedded in it. Recall that both of these spaces are built on previous slides. On the 13th and 14th slides, decomposition formulas are obtained. See lemma first. The slides introduce the matrices P and Q, which are closely related to the coefficients of the considered wavelet expansion. That's slides 15, 16, and 17. The decomposition formulas of this decomposition are also obtained here. See theorem 4. Further discussion relates to end threads. The idea of infinity, which was present before, as usual, simplifies the presentation since it does not require taking into account the beginning of the process and its end. In the case under consideration, the transition to the consideration of finite flows does not complicate the matter too much. We have to introduce some additional notation. For example, introduce the set GM. In addition, we introduce the finite set AB, which is the subset of the original grid C. We also introduce finite dimensional linear space C of AB, consisting of grid functions denoted on the set AB, and so on. The main arguments are not much different from the earlier ones. Therefore, we will not dwell on them in detail. The resulting decomposition and reconstruction formulas, of course, have some difference from the formulas considered in the infinite dimensional case. Formulas for the finite dimensional case are convenient for practical implementation. In view of the foregoing, we will describe the following slides very briefly, and we show some of these slides without comment. Listeners and viewers have the opportunity to stop the slides show. Consider them carefully. If necessary, everyone has the opportunity to go back to slides already viewed. Slide 19. Calibration ratios are presented here with this representation of coordinate splines on a large grid through coordinate splines on a fine grid. The 20 and 21st slides are devoted to matrix representation of the decomposition and reconstruction formulas. See formulas 38, 39. On slides 22, 23, the decomposition theorem is formulated and proved. See theorem 5. Eight. Illustrative example. The 24th and 25th slides contain an illustrative example showing the decomposition of the original stream C consisting of 8 components. When enlarging the grid by deleting the node with the number k plus 1 is equal to 4, the wavelet decomposition into the main stream A and the specifying wavelet B is presented in table 1. Decomposition in the third and fourth columns of this table. The result of the reconstruction is in the fifth column of the table. It can be seen that the result of the reconstruction completely coincides with the initial flow. This result corresponds to the theory presented. It should be noted that due to the small number of significant digits given in the table, the effect of rounding error, unavoidable when calculating with a floating point, could not be reflected in this table. The construction of this example was carried out with using the Maple 2017 system. We saw here table number 1. First column, this number of components. Second column, that is initial flow. Third column is the main flow. Fourth column is the wavelet flow. And last column is the result reconstruction of initial flow CC flow. Now, in conclusion, the article process a wavelet decomposition of the embedded Haar type spaces is the spline spaces of the zero order. Using the non-classical theory of wavelets, we can use an arbitrary enlargement of the initial, generally speaking, irregular grid. Simple decomposition and reconstruction algorithms are presented. They are focused on the sequential removal of one node per two others. This approach allows us to obtain the wavelet decomposition of this initial numerical flow in real time. For a group of deleted nodes, the resulting algorithm is obtained by the superposition mentioned algorithm. In the case when the group of deleted nodes is known in advance, a more efficient algorithm can be proposed. Such algorithm will be proposed in an extended version of this paper. Next, we can see bibliography, 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 bibliography. Thank you.